Good afternoon on what is a warm, windy and clear day. It is Tuesday, the 5th of April, and I'm back in the reading nook with a nice hot cup of tea. And a parcel to unbox, so let's have a look. And what we have got in here is Bayt al Azif, Volume 4, a magazine for Cthulhu Mythos role-playing games. So issue 4, a magazine dedicated to the cosmic horror of Cthulhu Mythos role-playing games. 3 new adventures ranging from strangers trapped in a deadly mystery, to a mysterious box in Salem, to journeys throughout realities. Reviews, interviews, advice, history, comics, and more. And this is both for Call of Cthulhu and the Gumshoe system, so you can play the content using either Call of Cthulhu 7th edition or Trade of Cthulhu. And we open up and we have houses on the unholy and a letters page. This is the 4th edition, and in general it's this really kind of an interesting magazine that's looking at the broader hobby of Cthulhu, the Cthulhu Mythos and the Lovecraftian investigative horror role-playing games. We have a really basically a nice lengthy basically a couple of pages of letters before we follow on with Cthulhu in 2020, a retrospective by Dean Engelhardt. And this is quite lengthy, but it does. What's good about this is that in the previous issues, Dean has looked at the state of the hobby and what's being produced over the course of the previous year. So first off, we get into Delta Green, then we've got the books for Call of Cthulhu itself from Cursium, and all of these I've either got or reviewed, and really, and it's just a good overview, including Stygian Fox. And again, I have reviewed most of these here. You'll find links to that basically on my blog. Again, a couple of volumes from Golden Goblin Press. I'm impressed by both of those. That's the Eldritch New England Holiday Collection. If you haven't got that, that's very good as a one-shot campaign where you definitely need six players. You play kids in Lovecraft Country, and it's really very good. Peterson Games, the Dungeons and Dragons volumes that explore the Cthulhu Mythos in a fantasy setting. Then we have individual scenarios, so like the Dare and the Miskatonic Country scenario guide. That's going to be very useful if you run a Lovecraft Country campaign. Comic Games, A Time for Sacrifice. And again, I definitely reviewed that, and I reviewed that. It's not necessarily the point is that I could go through the point where I have reviewed Cthulhu, Cthulhu, which I have reviewed, and then some of the titles available on the Miskatonic repository. Just a good overview that really is. It's sort of like if you have, if you know, just a good overview, because there are so many coming out. We also have magazines and fanzines at the end there, and then further afield with looking at other titles, we have, and again, there's some here that I've never seen or not come across. So again, that's the other use of this article. It's showcasing some of the things that came out in 2020, and now I've got to go back and look for these to add to the review queue. And then looking at future Kickstarters to come. That's a little bit, we'll see. And then a really nice piece from Adam Scott Glancy, Blair Reynolds in Memoriam, just looking at his contribution to two Lovecraftian investigative role-playing with his art, for example, with the cover of Delta Green. I believe my favourite work from him is probably in Realm of Shadows. Absolutely a fantastic book, campaign, also a really lovely artwork. An interesting thing, we have one of the most influential scenarios, a review of Trail of the Loathsome Slime by Marcus L. Rowland. I'm going to look forward to interesting to see what the author Andrew Smith has said, because I have reviewed this. I've reviewed all of the books available from Games Workshop for Call of Cthulhu, and this is I don't know whether it's a great scenario. It's an interesting scenario, very dated from its time in terms of its story structure. Perhaps it's not particular. There's not a lot of depth to it, but I will say on the Trail of the Loathsome Slime has quite possibly the best title of any role-playing game ever, supplement ever published. It's fantastic. And then we have Ultima Ratio, which is by Carsten Pohl, which is a 1930s scenario. I believe it's German originally, or appeared in German before, and probably carrying on with sort of like the previous scenarios that appeared in Bayt al Azif, to which have all been translated from German. Very much like Worlds of Cthulhu translated a lot of German content to before, but here we have something involving Zeppelins, so it's very 1930s. And Zeppelins are sort of like something, you know, almost a cliche in Call of Cthulhu, you know, but that doesn't mean you can't get a good scenario out of them. And this one is actually aboard the Hindenburg, so you know you're not going to get a better location for a Call of Cthulhu scenario. Of course, we've got a few handouts. So that's the first scenario. I've got an advert for the H.P. Lovecraft Historical Society. Then we've got an interview with Mike Mason, who is the line editor creative director for Call of Cthulhu at Cosium. That goes right back to his origins, basically first writing Call of Cthulhu with issues of The Whisperer, which is a really rather good little fanzine that sort of deserves to be sort of like only basically made available, just I would suggest. And then we have 40 years of memories, anecdotes from playing Call of Cthulhu, just lots of joyful things in here, just people's memories of playing the game. Mine would have been being really cruel to my fellow player characters, fellow investigators. I think we were playing Trailers to Subthua, one of the scenarios in there, and we were investigating a haunted house which is occupied by, I believe, the spirit of an ancient druid. And we got separated, and I wrote in blood, my own blood, because a couple of character codes fingers, they're coming on the blotter, and left it for the player, other ones to discover. They were mostly unnerved. And then we have the next scenario, the Mythos of Modernity. This next scenario is deep ones at the DMV. So how to do deep ones in the modern day. And then again we have another 1930s scenario. They are real. Including the doom that came to the investigators, which is how it should be. So I think this takes you through multiple different realities, whether it's the world, the staircase, Stalingrad 1942, back to the past, to ancient Irene, and more. And then we have blood-curdling streams, a round table with London Carlisle, Rena Hazents, and Virginia by Jared Smith, basically just talking about them running and playing the game. It's a nice bit of interview, basically talking about how, sort of like, what it's like to run the game streaming wise. I think that's an interesting article to read, because it's a step up from playing around the table to playing online, and then going, okay, I can make this available to other people for their enjoyment. and it really does focus your mind when you're doing that. Then we have Clues of Cultists, 100 Discoveries. More of the continuing cartoon strip. So we've got which doesn't give it a name. So it doesn't give it its name, but it's I'll just check, see. Grave Spirits, and then Never-Ending Darkness: The History of Cthulhu in Finland. Another nice article. I think that's because, you know, what's it like playing in different countries? Because we don't know. We've got a nice piece on Japan, and I think in the previous issue, and it'll be interesting to see which countries the future issues of Bayt al Azif visits. Then Blocks of Safa, another adventure. This one's set in the 1920s. Nice solid bit of artwork, not great but serviceable. And then I think that's handouts and so on. But before we get to the contributors. So that's about all from on the drivethrurpg.com. I'll put down a link below, and I'll follow this up with a proper review in due course. In the meantime, I hope you have enjoyed this unboxing of the Nook. If you have, please do click on the like button down below. And if you've got any comments or feedback, I appreciate you taking the time to post those. And lastly, if you want to be alerted to yet more unboxings of the Nook, where you'll see me with a parcel and a book or game which I'll unbox and chat about to the best extent of my knowledge for roughly 10 minutes or so, all of course accompanied by a nice cup of tea, then please hit that subscribe button down below. Thanks again for watching. I'll be back again soon with another unboxing of the Nook. Bye for now.